Hey y'all, hey, Marshita Patrice here, and welcome to the Sacred Homegirl Collective, where we walk through, talk through, and feel through what it means to live a life of faith, joy, and purpose. And I was thinking, y'all gonna come in close. What would it be like for you to fall head over heels, madly, deeply, like novel, the poetry even, like in love with yourself? And not to like beat or toot your girl's horn. I'm your girl. But I feel like this process, this journey of purpose has really been that. I know that we all set out where we have various goals. And I just want to encourage all of us as we're thinking about the healing process, as we are thinking about uncovering our divine assignments, to really just think about it as an opportunity to fall madly in love with you, right? Not to say that you don't love yourself already. I could have a whole little side note about that. Whatever you have done to get you to this point where you have woken up and you have continued to walk, you love yourself. Now we are in the process of learning how to healthily and best love ourselves, but you can trust that even the version of you that might have accepted not so great treatment, even the version of you that might have settled, even the version of you that might have not said the nicest things to you, all of those things, all of those versions of you were doing the best that they could with what they were given to get you to this point. So you don't need to feel shame. You don't need to abuse yourself and talk down and be like, I can't believe that. You don't need to harbor unforgiveness of various versions of you. They need to be honored, and they also need to be laid to rest so that the version of you that is like more anchored, more grounded, and more gracious towards yourself can say, hey, baby, hey, babies, whatever age they are, I'm in the lead. You're safe. You don't have to come out and protect me anymore. So yeah, I just want to talk about some steps that, steps the right word, but yeah, some steps that we can take to really begin to just figure out how tea we are, you know? So the first thing is just making the decision. I remember it was right after ending my engagement in 2020. Yeah, 2020. This is prior to COVID and like the full on shutdown. It was like early February. And it hit me like a sack of bricks. I knew I made the right decision, but I was very angry with God because I was like, well, why are you gonna let it hurt so bad? Because I feel like I'd have been hit by 7 semi trucks emotionally. And you could have just took me out. Like, I need to feel out of that. I'm being honest. This just me and God, okay? That's how we be talking. At least how I be talking. And when I tell you it was bad, I'm not someone who typically gets fevers or anything like that. But I felt the heartbreak in my bones. And I would say at least for a months, more probably would be more accurate. I didn't really speak out loud unless I was spoken to, or I had to be on for work, right? So if I had a presentation, if I had to do meetings, I was speaking. But when I would come home, I would literally just listen to music in Spanish. Don't speak Spanish. I don't know what it was about Shakira, Maluma, and there's a lot of people. It gave me comfort, but I would just sit there and listen to music in Spanish, and I may cry. I may just sit in darkness, apart from whatever the music was that was on TV or on YouTube. So my TV. Um, and that went on for a decent amount of time until for work I had to, because now at this point we're in COVID. We made it into COVID, and everything shut down. I was in Chicago. I'm back in Chicago now, but I was in Chicago. My family was in Michigan, and so I was scared that like I couldn't even go home to my family because I was scared that maybe I would bring something because I'm in this highly populated city. Maybe I was, I just didn't display symptoms. And I see my elderly grandparents on a regular basis. So I was really kind of just shut in. I was shut in with my heartbreak. I was isolated. And I'm not 100% sure what moment it was, but I definitely remember having to tell a story. We were doing some type of bonding thing at my job, and we had to share these personal stories. And my my work wife with a Y, that was my girl. We used to work together, but she's still my girl. That's my homie. She was the person who was facilitating the things, and people hadn't been volunteering, and she was like, hey, I need you. I need you to set the tone. I need you to do the things. And so I wrote, probably for the first time in years, because I had forgotten. I mean, I'd always been a journaler. I've always been someone who's processed through writing, dreaming and writing, earliest ways that the Lord has ever spoken to me, where I was cognitively aware. But I had stopped. I'd been in that relationship for 5 years, and I barely wrote unless it was for law school. But I didn't just write to write anymore. And that opened up writing for me. And for some reason, unlocking writing for me also just put this thought in my heart, which I'm realizing was more than likely the Lord. What would it be like for me to fall madly in love with myself? What would it be like for me to walk past the mirror and take my own breath away? Not just physically, but energetically. What would that be like? Because a huge part of what was so hard about my breakup, even though I technically broke up with him, was it felt like his actions did not feel like he was choosing me. And so even though I was choosing to break up with him, I still felt not chosen. And so often when we're thinking about love and the relationships that we're in, whether it's romantic or platonic, it is battling this wound of not truly feeling chosen. And so what I realized is that the idea of falling madly in love with myself was also this concept of I'm madly going to choose me. I'm not going to betray me. And I am going to choose to get out of this heartbreak, and go into something that fiercely serves me. Now, I'm not going to say I had the most healthiest approach, and we might talk about that in a little meetup or something, because y'all need to know all my business. I didn't have the healthiest approach. So I don't want y'all to think that this was like a peachy clean type deal. I also wasn't really checking for God. I ain't gonna lie to you. And it wasn't that I didn't believe that he existed. I knew he was God. I just also know that he God. And what I mean by that is like if I feel like I'm beefing with you, you God. You know I'm beefing with you. So I'm gonna be sitting here pretending in my prayers. That's wild. I ain't doing that. So I didn't really want to talk to him, and I wasn't really messing with him like that because I'm like, you didn't have to make it hurt that bad. And he didn't really care because he was messing with me. And the way that he baited me to be fully aware of how present he was to have me fall madly in love with myself. And what that process just looked like was what does being chosen feel like to me? What does my love feel like? And how do I carry that as a blanket around me? And so I began to look at how I poured into my village and how hard I go for them, and made it a practice to go that hard for me. But then also how easily tickled I am by my village. And I began to find, instead of looking at the fragments of myself, because I will say I was very fragmented. There were so many pieces as like, oh my gosh, how come you're not whole? And approaching them with so much judgment to, you know, you kind of cute as a little fragment. I don't want you to stay that way, but tell me more about you. Let me become curious about, how did this piece of you arise? Like, how did this piece of me arise? And as I became more curious about myself, about my story, the way that I'm curious about my village or just anybody that I encounter, to get to know me was to love me. And I just want to offer that to you. Like, you were formed. You were an intentional invention that the Lord formed, that he knew, he imagined you before he formed you and placed you in your mother's womb. And that is such a powerful thing. To know you is to love you. You are breathtaking. And it becomes your mission as you are walking on this journey in purpose. It is your mission to fall madly in love with yourself. And the best pathway to that is by constantly being curious about yourself and asking yourself the pieces of yourself, the pieces that look light, the pieces that look dark, the pieces that look medium, the pieces that look rare, the pieces that look a mess, the pieces that look polished. Hi, how did you get here? How are you feeling? Tell me about you. And I think the more that we take that level of care and patience with ourselves, the more that we can really, really embody that I know me. And because I know me, man, God was not playing when he made me. I love me some me. And more than just loving me, I treat me with the utmost care and gentleness, and I choose me. Because I think often as people who have been chosen and anointed to do phenomenal things, the weight's not only heavy, but we often deal with the wound of not feeling chosen. And to fall madly in love with yourself is a proclamation to the world that you choose yourself. And it does something to your energy where it begins to attract all of the things in the right timing that are yours. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful week this week. Um, and that you continue to become curious about yourself and fall madly in love with you. Because to know you is to love you. Bye.